Australia Day in 2021, young couple Matthew Field and Kate Leadbeater were tragically killed when a drug and alcohol-affected 17-year-old crashed and rolled a stolen four-wheel drive into them at a busy Alexandra Hills intersection. Rachel was 6 months pregnant. The offender was sentenced to 10 years in jail, but will be released after just 6.
Also in Brisbane, mother of two, Emma Lovell, was allegedly killed by two youths during a violent home invasion on Boxing Day last year.
A separate incident. Father of three, Michael Warburton, lost his life in Wynnum West when a stolen car collided with him, allegedly driven by youths as young as 15.
In Toowoomba, 75-year-old Robert Brown now dead as a result of a robbery allegedly carried out by teenagers.
This week, new state laws expected to be passed in the hope to crack down on this youth crime crisis. Yet almost none of the victims we spoke to have been contacted by the Premier for their input. They include the parents of Matthew Field, Russell and Anne, who join us live now in Brisbane. It's such a hard time for you. It's been 2 years. We thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you holding up?
Thank you.
Day by day.
Absolutely.
When you
It is, yeah, very tough.
when you have and listen to those awful, that it's a catalogue of complete and utter pain for families, and the tie-in is young offenders. What thought process is there for you?
Look, Karl, it's very hard for us and other victims of juvenile crime. It's a little bit disappointing. Nothing seems to happen, no matter what. Like we said here some time ago, and it's been 2 years now since Kate and Matt and Miles were killed on this corner, and nothing appears to be happening. And we've said in the past that if something concrete was done 2 years ago, when we thought and others, some of these current offences may not have happened, and that's the problem. You know, it just seems to fall on deaf ears all the time.
Yeah, it sounds as though there's quite a bit of frustration.
Just heartbreaking.
Well, it is heartbreaking, and that's the problem. This is senseless tragedy. And the government, as you say, has been slow to act. That's the sense that we get from the people on the ground there. Have you heard from the Premier at all?
The Premier has never contacted us since day one. When the incident first happened, from memory, we did get flowers and a card from the Premier and the government, but since that point, nothing. The Commissioner of the Police has been to visit us. A lot of other politicians, mainly from the LNP, but nothing from the Premier at all, which is pretty disappointing to a degree. Like, I understand that she can't go and visit or contact every person who's affected by juvenile crime, because there is that much of it. So if she did that alone, her days would be filled up visiting people or victims of juvenile crime.
And it seems
that's how bad it is in this state.
And it seems to me too that even internally inside the government, they're not conscious of how much frustration there is there in the community. I mean, even the Deputy Stephen Miles coming out and saying that the juvenile shouldn't have been released, and then Cameron Dick, the Treasurer, coming out and saying he got it wrong. I mean, this whole thing, they look like they're at 6s and 7s, not on the same page, and yet the community frustration just builds and builds. How is it for you, Anne?
Oh, it's just heartbreaking. Every time you hear of a juvenile offending, your heart just breaks for the family, and you know what they're going through, and there's just no support or help from the government, and it just, to me, it's as though they're sitting on their hands. It's just, I don't know what to do.
What do you want to
Something
happen?
has to be done, and has to be done soon.
Look, there needs to be change. Like, when I was growing up, and you too, Karl, and probably 99% of the people watching this program and who live in the state, there was always a deterrent when you're growing up. If you did something wrong, your father or your parents said, I'm going to give you a belting or discipline you whatever way it is. Now, there's no deterrent in these situations. There should be a punishment that's not there as a punishment but as a deterrent. Now, I know, and you know, and most of the people in Australia know, if you go to Thailand carrying drugs, it's a death penalty. Now, that is a deterrent to stop people from taking drugs into the country.
Yeah.
The same thing here. If there is a penalty or deterrent big enough that any juvenile, anybody for that matter, steals a car or gets into a stolen car, it is a minimum amount of detention, what I'd like to call it. But it needs to be there as a deterrent, not as a punishment. And that's where a lot of people are getting it wrong, where they think, oh, that punishment is too great. They need to draw a line in the sand and say, from this date on, this is what's going to happen. If you steal a car or get into a stolen car, you are going to be put away for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And to me, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't really care.
They need to be re-educated, and this is the problem.
Yeah, we completely understand. You wouldn't believe the amount of feedback we're getting. So thank you for that. It's a story that we're going to continue to follow. Thanks for being on the program again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Well, coming. Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Karl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports and amazing Aussie stories.
And Karl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.